What's up, everybody? Welcome back to another DC Dual Force video. And I'm super excited because this weekend is the streamer beta for DC Dual Force. And I am excited to say that I did get invited to the streamer beta. So super hyped about that. I'm going to be streaming it on my Twitch channel, twitch.tv/jhugs. I'll go ahead and leave a link to my Twitch channel in the description of this video. You are going to want to check this out because I'm giving away 100 beta keys. The following weekend is when they are going to open up the beta to players who receive a beta key. So if you want a chance to play DC Dual Force, make sure you're following me on Twitch. I will be streaming it this Friday and this Saturday. That's June 9th and June 10th from 12 p.m. to 4 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. So once again, make sure you're following me on Twitch and check me out this weekend. So what I want to do real quick, this is the updated website for DC Dual Force, and it has a bunch of information, it has some news articles, but the two most important things here are we have this tab here that says game, that kind of tells you how to play the game, and then there's the card database, which actually shows you all the cards that will be available at launch. But what I want to do for now is go over this game tab and how to play DC Dual Force, because I think, that's kind of where we got to start, right? Like, how do we play the game? That's really what we got to figure out first before we start getting into theory crafting decks and all that, right? So we got to take it from the top. We got to learn how to play DC Dual Force, but I probably will make another video talking about decks or talking about the different factions and things like that. But for now, what we're going to do is we're going to go on the game tab here. And of course, I'll leave a link to this website in the description. I'm going to go ahead and hide my camera here so I'm not blocking up the screen. But basically, this is just a broad overview of how to play DC Dual Force. And this is how the board is going to look. It's a 2x3 grid, and it does look pretty small, which it looks like it's gonna be really good on mobile. I know they said that it's just gonna be PC first, they're gonna do mobile later, but this looks pretty good for a mobile interface. So let's go ahead and take a look at it. Of course, this is our hand. These are cards in our hand. We're gonna draw a card each turn and add it to our hand, and then we have two leaders. So of course, DC Dual Force, the dual meaning we have two leaders. They always start in play in the bottom left corner and the bottom right corner. You can see we have Batman and Wonder Woman here, and then this number in the bottom right corner indicates their health. If it drops to 0, that leader is KO'd or knocked out. And if you lose both of your leaders, if both of them drop to 0, then you lose the game. So basically, the goal of the game is to knock both of your opponent's leaders down to 0. And here we can see that leaders have unique powers. They have this special little glowing bar at the top here with a number. It looks like they have a number 2 on it. So each leader has a unique ability, and when they are ready, when they meet a certain requirement, you can activate your leader's ability. And then here we have the resources. Now, this is where DC Dual Force is pretty unique, because a lot of other card games, they have some sort of mana system, right? Or some sort of energy system where you play one card for X amount of mana. Well, DC Dual Force has this sort of bronze, silver, gold resource to it. So as you can see here, we have 2 resource slots. This is a bronze one, and then this is an empty one. So players will first have access to bronze. So on your first turn, you're going to have a bronze resource. And then the next turn, you're going to get another bronze resource. And then on the third turn, your lowest resource is going to evolve to the next tier. So let's say we have two bronzes. Well, they're the same rarity, so basically one of them is going to upgrade to silver. So now we have a bronze and a silver resource. Then your second bronze will upgrade to silver, so you have two silvers. And then one of your silvers will upgrade to gold. And then after that, you can only have one gold resource. So you will max out at one gold and one silver. And of course, these resources are going to be used to play your cards, and each card has a specific type of resource that you need in order to play them. However, there is one exception to this. There are free cards in the game that do not require any resource to play them. Next up, we have recruits. So recruits are basically like the minions of this game, the units of the game. They have an attack value and they have a defense value. Now, recruits cannot attack the turn they are played. However, there are some cards in the game that have the keyword speed, which does allow them to attack within the same turn. And also, the recruits will protect any unit behind them. So as you can see, we have 3 slots here in the front and then 3 slots in the back. So let's say, for example, we have this Warlord card here. We can play the Warlord in the front left here, and it'll protect our leader card in the back here. And then we have enemy leaders. So again, enemy leaders, basically same thing, the left and right corners of their board, and we're trying to get them down to 0 to win the game. And the enemy also has recruits, and we got to fight through the recruits before we can attack the leaders. So here it's going to walk you through a few turns of a typical DC Dual Force game. Of course, we're going to draw our starting hand, and it does look like we can mulligan any amount of cards that we don't want. And for those unfamiliar with the term mulligan, basically means whatever cards you have in your opening hand, you can just shuffle them back to your deck and draw another card. It doesn't look like there's a limit on how many cards you can mulligan, so I'm assuming if you don't like any of these 4 cards, you can just mulligan them all back into your deck and then draw 4 different cards. And then you're going to automatically draw a card at the start of each turn. So it does look like you start with 4 cards in your hand, and then you draw 1 card at the start of your turn for 5 cards. And then we talked about this a little bit earlier, but playing your cards, each player starts with only 1 bronze resource at the beginning of the game before leveling up in later rounds. So basically, the earlier rounds, you're going to be limited to playing some of your cheaper cards like bronze and silvers. Consider playing a recruit in front of a leader to protect them. And then we have what looks like an action log here, which is actually really nice. I do like that there's some sort of history tab in the game, to kind of give you a little recap if you forgot what happened the previous turn. And then we can attack. So basically, it does look like we can target which cards we want to attack. So you just want to click and drag a ready recruit on an enemy to attack. Defenders and attackers will both deal damage to each other at the same time. So choose your targets wisely. And then you can activate your leader power. So leaders will gain a charge each turn, but there are going to be some cards that will charge your leaders even further. And then once they have accumulated enough charges, you just click their card on the top here, and it'll activate their ability. And leaders only have a defense value at first. They don't have an attack value, but a lot of the leaders' abilities do grant them attack so that you can attack with them. But again, you got to accumulate enough charges in order to activate that attack. And then once you have made all your moves, you just go ahead and end your turn. And that is it. Now, it does seem simple enough, but I'm sure it's going to be more in depth once we get our hands on the game. And here we can look at building a deck. So we can see here there's 5 different factions or 5 different colors, whichever way you want to look at it. Red is might, green is energy, blue is tactics, orange is anarchy, and purple is tyranny. Each faction is going to have unique leaders and unique recruits and unique faction identities. Again, I might do another video later on talking about each faction, do a quick little overview on them, but they give a little example here. The tactics faction provides many cards that allow you to build around Batman's gadgets, since Batman is a tactics leader. And then, of course, you're going to be adding recruits and action cards. Action cards are basically like spells. So you need to build a deck with 20 cards from each of your leaders' factions for a total of 40 cards. So each deck is going to be 40 cards. Now, they have said that you can just do one faction if you like. So, for example, you could do a Might deck and just have 40 Might cards in it. However, if you're going to have two factions, which is probably going to be the standard, you're going to have two factions, let's say Might and Tactics, then you have to have 20 cards of each faction. You can't split them up, for example, say like 30 Might cards and 10 Tactics cards. It needs to be 20 for each faction. And here it just talks about adjusting your resource curve. So here on the right side of the screen, we can see these are the free cards I mentioned earlier. So it looks like this person has 4 free cards in their deck: 20 bronze, 11 silver, 5 gold. And I believe this is units. So 25 units and then 15 action cards for a total of 40 cards. So basically just kind of saying, you want to have a good mix of cards in your deck. You don't want to have all cheap cards in your deck, or you don't want to have like all gold cards in your deck. Although, there are some aggro decks in other games that really don't mind having a lot of cheap cards in their decks. So I'm kind of interested to see what aggro decks could look like in DC Dual Force. It looks like Energy might be the aggro faction in DC Dual Force. So, you might be fine. Some aggro decks might be fine with just having a ton of cheap cards in their deck. And that is it. So this was just a quick little walkthrough of the game here. I'm really excited to get my hands on it. I'm kind of someone who's more like of a hands-on learner. So I try to explain that as best as I possibly can, but of course there's still so much, we need to learn about the game. I need to actually get my hands on the game before I can really feel like, okay, now I know what I'm doing in this game, right? But that was just a quick little overview. Let me know what you think about DC Dual Force in the comments down below. Once again, make sure to follow me over on Twitch, because I will be streaming the game this weekend and giving out beta keys. And if you haven't subscribed to the YouTube channel already, make sure to subscribe, because I'll be putting out DC Dual Force content as well as Marvel Snap content. We're about to get the new Spider-Verse season, so definitely going to be making some Marvel Snap content as well. And that's going to be it for this video. Thank you so much for watching. Appreciate you all, and I'll see you in the next one. Later.